Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the weekly webinar. This one is going to be a little special in that we're doing a product release today. I've got Jeff on the call with us today, as well as Rodney and Lex from the product success team. They'll be managing the chat. So as you have questions that pop up during the presentation, go ahead and put them in the chat and they will be addressed there. What they do not address there, we will address at the Q&A at the end, so that we make sure you get all your questions answered. For the people who are not used to our webinars, we do record these. So we ask that you hold your questions verbally until the end. We will have a question and answer at some point, but back to the chat. If you have to ask something right now, let's do it in the chat and not in the audio version, as that would require me to cut and paste, cut that out of the posted video. So the posted video will come up probably Monday or Tuesday at the latest. It depends on how long it is and how much I have to do for editing. So that's the housekeeping for today. Let's go ahead and get into what we're going to talk about, which is the Adelo Express for Android. Now, we want to make sure that you understand clearly what we're talking about. So let's do some definitions. This is an addition to the existing products that we currently have. Obviously, we started with the Aldelo Express running on iPad. And then a year or so ago, we introduced Adelo Express for Android mobile. And then we came up with the Aldelo Express for a tablet. That's what we're introducing today. This is something that you need to clearly understand, that these are three similar but yet different products. This is not Aldelo Express running on Android. This is a product we wrote from the ground up. It has taken years in development. It is not just a simple port over of code. It is a totally different product written from the ground up. So don't assume a lot of things. We're going to get into some of those assumptions you might make. Let's get into the exact details of the product and you'll understand more what I'm talking about. The product does have a similar flow to the Aldelo Express for Apple and iPad. There are some differences, and that has a lot to do with the screen format and the size of the screen. You'll see that as well. They have similar features. They will always have similar features, not identical features. And the iPad is what takes the lead here. So we'll probably always introduce the new feature into the iPad first, and then following that will be the Android tablet. So what we don't want you to do is assume. So don't assume that just because there's a feature in the Express iPad that it's automatically in Express for Android. It's not necessarily going to be the case. So always verify the feature set and how it works before you start talking to an end user about it. So don't overcommit yourself. They do have identical databases. So those databases are merged and kept at the cloud level and then ported back down to the local level. And they all have the same identical databases, and they run on the same network. So you can have all three of these products in the same network. Everything is shared. Let's talk a little bit about the printers. So printers are the same printers for iPad as they are for the Android mobile and Android for tablet. So the printers that are listed on the website that are approved and tested, those are the ones you should use for Android as well. They do share those. And even though the print is a little different, the SDK, the software development kit for the Android, does allow us to send over the same print commands. They're just slightly different in the fonts. So double wide, double high on the Android is looking different than it does on the Apple product. So if you had them side by side, you note the difference, but they're not functionally different. You'll still be able to look at and understand the kitchen receipt as well as the guest receipt. So from that standpoint, they are similar, just not identical. So we're saying that everything can reside in the same network. And by that, we mean the database that we use here was called the Happy Grill. You literally can have hundreds of devices in the same network. I was really impressed when I started looking at how many different devices we have on our testing network. It's quite a lot. So you can have a lot of devices in the network. And of course, Mesa works with all of these products. That is the browser situation where the browser product we have that does the loyalty online ordering, curbside pickup, and gift cards. So all that is handled through the Mesa app, and that Mesa does talk to all three of these products. So let's get into a little more detail of this. The software does communicate with the printers, KDS, and kiosks, not the customer display. So at this time, you're looking at KDS, kiosk, and printers all communicate with Android for tablet, but not the customer display. iPad is required in some instances. You can have an Android only install, but there are going to be certain times where a iPad is required. And one of those is when you need a print server. A print server is really needed when you have 4 or more kitchen printers or a KDS system. You need something to manage the flow of the orders to and from these devices. And that's what the print server is there for. Print server as of today is only on iPad. So it is required for a install that has 4 or more kitchen printers and the KDS system. You'll also need an iPad if you have third-party integrations. The kiosk, KDS, and customer display only install on iPads. If you go to the Play Store, you're not going to see KDS or Adelo Express, KDS, Adelo Express kiosk, or Adelo Express customer display. Those are only on iPads. Oh, let's do a little hardware warning. I know that a lot of people have been waiting for Android to come out. They're waiting so that you can have some independence from the Apple products. That's good and bad. There's good and bad with Apple, and there's good and bad with that little independence as you're looking for. But there's a warning, and here's the warning that I want to make sure you guys have is, why do you think the competitors control their hardware? You've got 2 main competitors, 3 main competitors that all have their own hardware. They branded it. You can't run on anything else but their hardware. Why do you think that is? And it's because they know it works. They know that their software runs on that specific hardware. It's configured correctly. It runs, it works. They can support it. They have no issues with it in installs. That's why they run that specific hardware. Giving you guys the freedom to make your own hardware choices opens up some instances where it may not be what you expect. So we're telling you to avoid off-brand hardware. We get emails weekly from vendors who we've never heard of that want us to test their Android hardware. And we've tested it, and it's not always what they think it is. Now, I'm going to bring in Jeff Moore at this point because he's tested some of this stuff, and I want him to explain in his technical terms to you what the problems have been.
So yeah, a lot of times manufacturers will go out there and know there's some buzzwords that they really want to have, and oftentimes they will tell you they have a higher CPU rate or a faster processor rate that's in their system, but they skimp on the memory and they go with really slow memory, or they go with slower components inside. And so what you think is going to be a really fast, wonderful, 8-core system turns out to be something that's not. We've probably all seen these, videos and stuff where people have gone to Wish or something like this and bought something that they thought was going to be this massively fast, 3 gigahertz tablet, And it turns out when they open it up, it's really not. Somebody's monitor messed up. A lot of these off-brand units, they just oftentimes aren't what they say they're going to be. And so it's really important that, if you're going to be getting something and you're looking for those, what are those specifications? You're getting something that's going to be at least 1.5 gigahertz with a quad core, or even better, if you can get to an octa-core system. Those tend to be the best, with at least 2 gigabytes of RAM in there. You're going to find that that's the best performance, or the minimum performance to get. And from there, the more processing power you add to it, the better it's going to be. We have found, we've been sticking with testing a lot of the Galaxy Tab units from Samsung, some units and stuff from Lenovo. And we found that this has been really great experiences sticking with these branded items that people have, recognized and been out there for a while. But when you get into some of these off brands, be very cautious. Sometimes a 2 gigahertz processor isn't really a 2 gigahertz processor, or isn't running at full speed, because they've got a slowdown in the RAM or someplace else. And we've seen a lot of really poor performance out there for some other off-brand devices sometimes. So be very careful with those.
So giving you guys freedom to make some hardware choices comes with some warnings. And another one would be test before the install.
Yeah.
Get the hardware in, load the software. Just because it loads doesn't mean it's going to work. Test it before you do the install.
And when we say test, make sure it works with your printers. Make sure your cache drawer is opened. Don't just test one or two of your items, but order, everything that's on your menu and see what happens. We've seen a lot of them where you order 2 or 3 items and things work great. You get to 20 items on a ticket and not so great. All of a sudden you start having some problems. So this is a type of thing that gets to be really important, is find out, what is the maximum number of items that that type of customer might have on their ticket, and double it. Make sure you're within their specifications. And if they're saying, hey, look, they might do 1,000 orders in an evening, well, make sure that that's not going to be a problem for you.
We recently had a customer who said they were going to run tabs in a bar for 1,000 items. And we tested it on the iPad and it worked. But we are cautious. Don't assume just because it works on the iPad that it's going to work on the Android. You have got to test before you do the install. And above all, choose operation over price. Choose that the system will work properly over the lesser priced items. You may find a lesser priced unit that works. Great, let us know. But always, always choose operation over price. All right, Jeff, anything else on the hardware before we move on?
No, we had a question here. It says, hey, any options for Android all-in-one terminals from Elo, Partner Tech, Sable, etc.? Not at this time. This is a brand new product. We're still in the process of testing things that come to us. Right now, we do have a tested page for things that have passed our testing, and it is posted on our website. But right at the moment, we do not have any all-in-one units on there. We are looking forward to adding those. So,
okay. Let's talk into the actual specifications for the hardware. So these are all required. You're going to see the word "and" at the end of the statement. So the target device has to have Android OS 8.0 or later, and the target device having at least 1.5 gigabytes of RAM or more, and coded as a tablet by the manufacturer's device profile, and has a CPU quad core in 1.7 gigahertz or faster, and having a screen size of 10 inches or bigger. All those requirements must be in place if your device is going to find the software on the Play Store. It has to have all of those. We know we've tested the following devices. What you're going to watch me run on today is a Lenovo P11, 11-inch, but we have tested on these other devices. So now let's get into the comparisons of the two products. So this is a screenshot from my iPad Pro. It's the 12.9 screen. And then this is a screenshot from my Lenovo 11-inch wide Android. You're going to notice some differences right up front. Because of the screen size, we've taken the ticket from the top and put it down the right-hand side, more like a traditional point of sale. We did this, and I really like it on the right-hand side on the Android, because the Android is much wider, whereas the Apple iPad is more of a square screen layout. That allowed for that ticket across the top. But the ticket on the right is much better here because of the wide screen on the Android. Some other differences. The Apple is a 7:5 screen layout, so it's 35 buttons on the screen with the ticket across the top. The Android is a 5:5 screen layout with a ticket on the right. Function keys that you see on the iPad, they're still there. They're on the Android, but they're in a different location. So it's similar workflows. That's what I talked about initially. These products are similar, and that's some of the small differences you'll see. Really, it's not going to affect the function or the usability of the software. It's just something you need to know. This is the miscellaneous screen from the iPad. It is still a 7:3 format, or 6:3. And then here is the same format, 6:3 on the Android, but there are differences here. There's some differences, first off, in that the fancy split order that we have on the iPad, which is having the different columns on the screen, that functionality is not currently in Android. Also on the Android, you'll notice that the inventory button is grayed out, so it's not available at the current time on the Android device. And then there's a button here called Transfer Current. That is not on the miscellaneous screen of the iPad, even though that is a feature on the iPad. It's just a button here on the miscellaneous screen. That's the difference. It's not a different feature or a new feature. It's just a different location for easier access on the Android for that particular feature. Some other comparable things that you'll find that are almost identical in as far as modules go. We do have all the pizza delivery, hostess, bar tabs, and hold and fire. All those modules are there and functioning. You also have advanced pricing for the happy hour pricing and whatever, labor schedule, split check by seat or by number of people. And then of course, Mesa and Countdown. All these modules and features are in both products. All right, you can mix and match. You can have an installation that is all Android or all iPad. You can mix and match to whatever degree you wish. A single iPad can be installed to open up other features. So if this particular customer is really wanting inventory and really wanting Android, you can install Android everywhere. But if you install the iPad, it then allows you to do the inventory on that one iPad. And there's other features that you might find that are only available on iPad. By installing just one iPad, you get that feature in the system on that iPad. All right, Jeff, is anything else I need to cover before we get into the software?
I think you got all the questions, Jerry.
Okay. First thing you're going to notice is the absence of the facial recognition button. That is not available on the Android is on the iPad. If that is something that you just got to have for clock in and clock out, then put that one iPad in the system and make that terminal everybody clocks in and out on. It's a simple fix. You'll notice it's pretty responsive, not having any degradation. It is quick to move from one to the next, even with all the graphics. You do still have the gesturing in that you can use your finger to move up or down. Not a change there at all. You do have the ability to ring up very fast, including the modifiers, forced and optional. You'll notice that there are some features that are not displayed in the ticket on the right that are displayed on the iPad. You do have the ability to swipe right to left and void an item. You also have the ability to touch the ticket and bring it up into a large screen that then gives you access to the hold and fire that you're familiar with on the iPad version. And you also have the ability to touch the salt and pepper shaker and go back in and make any changes to the modifiers before sending to the kitchen. So there's no change there. When you're ready, you just hit the done button and your system now is printed or sent to the kitchen display. Recall, looks the same, acts the same, works the same. I'm not going to show this, but if I do have my iPad here to my left, I can ring up on the Android and it pops up on the iPad and vice versa. I can recall, add to whichever way I want to go. Start it on the iPad, bring up on the Android, or start at Android, bring up on the iPad. So they do work that way. If I'm going to do a seat situation, I can add a seat. Now go to seat 2 and ring up items there. When I go to the tender, I do have the option here to split by seat or split by number of people. That's what where the amount split comes in, or by seat. It is a simple one button split. This is identical to what we have on the iPad version. Jeff, is there anything else I need to show?
I think you've done a great job.
It's pretty simple. Once you've learned one, it's an easy transition.
I mean, they are, a lot of overlap in the feature set.
Yeah.
So it's
just a matter
it really
of
is almost identical.
So that's it. You just got to find the right button in the system. If you're ringing up and you want a discount, just touch the green button, and there you have the same screen you had on the iPad. It's virtually the same. We just want to make sure that you practice on it so you know where the button is and not have to go looking for it when you're trying to do this presentation to a customer. All right, Jeff, I'm going to open it up for questions.
Okay. I noticed we don't have any questions in the chat. Are there any questions and stuff that anybody has about the software?
So Doug, did you just see what I did? You had a question about in order entry, can you click on the seat number and change the seat? I just did that. So did you see that? I hope you did. It's a very simple thing. It's not hard to do. That's another one of those things that is in iPad that's also in Android. So it's just a matter of the flow of how you do it. Whereas on the iPad, it's just the ticket window across the top has a lot of functionalities. We have the same functionalities here. You just have to touch the window, open them up to get to it. Not a big deal. So I just changed it from seat 1 to seat 2. Easy peasy. All right, so Lex, Rodney, what did I miss in the chat that I need to address here? Did I miss anything?
Well, there's a couple questions that have been left unanswered, that are more recent. Tony's asking where he can get EMV devices.
From TPG. So I'd recommend you order them from us, but if you want to get them from another source, TPG is the source to go get them at. And your MSA person will be helping to, introduce you and get that going, but that is the source location.
Something I want to bring up is what I'm using here on my desk. I have a stand, and I put a rubberized cover on the Android terminal. The cover is extremely thick on the sides. It's completely rubber, all of $25. And then the stand that I have is also $28, and it works perfectly. It allows me to twist, turn, and it holds this device really solid. It does not lock, but it holds it well. It looks like a really good POS type terminal. I find it to be very stable on my desk, and I'm enjoying it. So the stand was $28 from Amazon. The rubberized cover was $25 from Amazon.
Excellent.
So yeah, 10-inch screen is what's recommended. And it's really important. One of the things we found is we've had several people go out and try to get tablets and stuff. And if the manufacturer did not list in the Android build that this is a tablet, you will not find the software in the Google Play Store. So this is where buying a brand name thing, you'll usually find it set up properly. Buying an off-brand item, well, may not find it at all. So, that's good word of advice there.
Jerry, there was one question that Carl Webb wanted to see.
All right, my buddy Carl.
Basically, he just wanted to see ordering like multiple choices with vegetables and etc. So I believe the modifiers and stuff like that.
All right, let's take another look at that. The most modified one I have is a steak. So let's just ring up a steak. Now you have your choices of the force modifiers to choose the temp. Then I start doing some optional. Now here you'll see in the top right, there's the small red dot. That is the exclamation point, meaning I have one option here that is required. In this case, it could be no sauce. And now these are your optional modifiers. You can pick as many as you wish, Carl. Just every one you pick is just going to add up another price, right? Then I take my finger, I swipe right to left, and I have some upcharges. So I can do seared scallops is an upcharge. Now I've got all my choices, all have been satisfied. So required here, I did, required here, optional here, optional here. When I'm done, I hit the blue bar at the bottom, that's my done button. If I make a mistake, I can touch the item, then the salt and pepper shaker there in the center, you touch that and you can go back and make any changes that you wish to make prior to sending to the kitchen. All that functionality is identical on the iPad. It's just a different flow of how to get to it. Whereas it's all across the top on the iPad. Here you have to just touch the ticket. That's the only difference. Did that answer your question, Carl?
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you, Jerry.
You got it, bud. All right, so here's the challenge. I committed to Harry that once we release the Android, the sales were going to jump. That you guys were going to jump on this, and your customers were going to follow suit. So I'm expecting and challenging you guys to make it happen. You now got what you've been asking for. So now it's time to pony up, saddle up, and get this product moving. Sell this Android. We'd love to have it out in the field. Download it to the Play Store. From the place, go download it. Go get it in your hands. Play with it. You're going to fall in love with it. I promise you. And then you're going to go out and you're going to show it. So download first, play with it second, and then put it in front of somebody. If you just have to walk in and hand them the tablet and say, here, play with this, then that's what you're going to do. But get it out in the field. You're going to find people who will jump all over this. Then be very careful about your hardware. Make sure that you have tested it in-house and that it does work before you go off and sell it. That's the last thing we want us to have is you out there with hardware that doesn't support the software. Doesn't matter how great the software is. We write great software, but you guys can really mess it up if you put it on the wrong hardware. So we're being very, very pushy on that. We're making sure you understand. Don't go cheap. Make sure whatever hardware you have works. Jeff, you got anything else on that?
No, I just, I appreciate everybody showing up and give us the time today. And if you guys have any questions, please follow up with Kelly and Chelsea. They'll be happy to answer any questions you guys have. And of course, they're available all the time. So, give them a call, you send them an email if you guys have any questions.
And guys, thank you for staying around. Thanks for doing this. We appreciate you. I don't know if you hear that enough, but we do appreciate you being our referral partners and working with us on this.